The cold is oppressive, not just in temperature, but in emotion, like the entire world has taken a breath and forgotten to exhale. Otway stands there, a silhouette against the endless horizon of white. He doesn't shiver, he doesn't speak. His stillness isn't weakness, it's listening. The kind of listening you do when you know something's watching, something ancient. The snowflakes fall slowly, lazily, like they too are hesitant to disturb this moment. His eyes, half closed, scan the nothingness. But to Otway, the nothing isn't empty. It's full of memory, of instinct, of warning. He can feel it in his bones. The cold is only the beginning. A lone crow calls out in the distance, and its sound dies before it reaches him. Even nature seems afraid to speak. This isn't just wilderness. This is a test. And the silence? It's the first question. They say the sky is safe, that once you're above the clouds, you're free. But that's a lie, because in one breath, everything peaceful is torn away. A sudden roar, a violent lurch. The plane becomes a cage of chaos. Otway's eyes snap open. Time fractures. Metal screams. Men shout. The cabin turns upside down. One man clutches a photo of his daughter. Another prays without words. Otway doesn't move. Not because he's brave, but because he's done this in his mind 1,000 times. Then, silence again. But this time, it's the kind that comes after destruction. The snow greets them like a grave. The plane is scattered, torn open like a wound. And in that white abyss, the survivors crawl out. Not as passengers, but as men reborn into a world that doesn't want them. The cold doesn't care who you were, only who you become. They huddle near the wreckage, the fire weak and flickering. It's not warmth they seek, it's a reminder that they're alive. The cold wraps around them like a noose, not sharp, but patient. Otway checks the perimeter, his breath fogging with every exhale. He doesn't say much, but the others follow his movements with tired eyes. He's not the leader they chose. He's the one they need. One man jokes about being on a vacation from hell. Another lights a cigarette with trembling hands. They laugh, not because it's funny, but because if they don't, they might scream. Behind every glance is fear. Behind every word is regret. The forest watches them. The cold presses in. This isn't a battle they can win. It's a standoff between fragile humans and an indifferent force. But still, they move forward, because surrender is not in their nature. Yet, at first, it's just a whisper, a sound the wind might have made. Then another, lower, hungrier. The men freeze. Otway slowly crouches. He knows that sound. It doesn't come from the trees. It comes from the hunt. They see nothing, but the feeling of being watched is unmistakable. Branches crack. Snow crunches in the dark. Then glowing eyes. A flicker, a blur between trees. Wolves. But these aren't just animals. These are tacticians. Predators with patience. They don't rush. They don't bark. They study. One survivor panics. Another grips a metal rod with white knuckles. But Otway, he doesn't move. He knows their rhythm, their patterns. He whispers, "They're testing us." Because that's what predators do. They wait until you break yourself. And here, in this vast cathedral of cold, the wolves are more than beasts. They are nature's final exam. In the chaos, Otway moves with quiet certainty. Not because he knows he'll survive, but because he's made peace with the possibility that he won't. The others talk. Otway listens, observes, measures every breath, every crack in their voices. He's been in worse places than this. Not in terrain, but in memory. Flashbacks hit him like wind against the face. A hospital room, a woman's hand slipping from his, a father he couldn't save, a letter he never sent. The past isn't behind him, it walks beside him. But that's why he's still standing. Otway doesn't lead with commands. He leads by presence. They don't know it yet, but when the wolves come, when the cold steals sleep, it's him they'll watch, to see how a man looks when he refuses to break. He's the quiet flame that doesn't flicker, no matter how hard the wind tries. Night falls. The fire becomes a confessional booth. They sit around it, backs hunched, hands near the flames, eyes far away. One man mumbles about a wife he left. Another speaks of a child he never met. No one talks about tomorrow, because tomorrow isn't real anymore. Only now exists. Otway pokes the fire with a stick. The embers fly like fireflies. He says nothing, but inside, thoughts swirl. What is the value of life when everything's stripped away? Why fight to live another cold, brutal day? The silence grows heavier, not out of fear, but out of revelation. Maybe survival isn't a reward. Maybe it's the price. And here, in this frozen sanctuary, they're all paying it. They move like shadows through the snow. The forest is a maze, and every path feels wrong. Trees groan in the wind, bending like they're whispering secrets to each other. Their boots sink deep. Their bodies sink deeper into exhaustion. But they keep moving, not because they believe they'll make it, but because stopping feels like dying. Otway scans the horizon constantly. His eyes never rest. Every decision is a gamble. Every moment, survival's version of Russian roulette. They encounter a river, frozen solid. One man tries to cross too quickly and falls. They pull him out breathless, his lips blue, his spirit dimmed. No time for lectures, no time for comfort. In this place, the test isn't about finding safety. It's about finding yourself and deciding whether that version is worth saving. They kill one of the wolves. It wasn't easy. It wasn't clean. The others cheer. A brief celebration. A false victory. Because when the adrenaline fades, something darker creeps in. They look at the blood on their hands, and it feels familiar. The kill was necessary. But why did it feel good? Otway says nothing, but his expression hardens. It's not just the wolves hunting them. It's the beast inside each of them. Fear has turned to rage. Hunger has turned to instinct. And in the flicker of a flame, in the twitch of a hand reaching for a weapon, it becomes clear. The real enemy isn't out there. It's in here. The wild is changing them. Or maybe it's revealing who they really were all along. The storm worsens. Visibility drops. The cold no longer bites. It crushes. One man begins to pray, mumbling verses half remembered from a childhood long gone. Another curses the sky, as if demanding an answer. Otway says nothing. His faith isn't gone. It's buried under years of disappointment and silence. He once believed in meaning, in signs, in something greater. But here, in this white void, there are no signs, no omens, no miracles, only moments, decisions, consequences. And yet, as the snow falls around him, something stirs. Not hope, not God, but resolve. Maybe belief doesn't need a shape or a name. Maybe belief is just this, the refusal to die lying down. They don't all make it. One freezes in the night, his breath stilled like smoke that forgot to rise. Another disappears after slipping down a ravine, his scream swallowed by the snow. They bury no one. The cold does it for them. Otway keeps moving. His eyes are darker now, sharper. Each death carves something out of him. Not pain, but focus. There's no time for sorrow. Grief is a luxury the wilderness doesn't offer. But the weight of absence grows heavier with each step. At night, he sees their faces in the fire. Not ghosts, but lessons. The forest takes what it wants, and what it leaves behind is who you are now. Otway doesn't cry. He doesn't scream. He walks, and every footstep sounds like goodbye. The last man is gone. Otway stands alone, surrounded by nothing but the breath of the earth. The trees have stopped whispering. The wolves are near, but it's not them he fears anymore. It's the silence within. He remembers her, her laugh, her voice in the dark, the way she looked at him when the world still had meaning. He remembers the letter he never finished, the goodbye he never gave. The snow falls harder now, like time itself is trying to erase him. He kneels, opens his hand, and lets go of the last thing he kept, a note worn and unread. This isn't surrender, it's acceptance, not of death, but of truth, that in the end, the journey was never about escaping the wild. It was about facing the wild within. He hears them before he sees them. The pack, the breath, the growls. Otway doesn't run. He doesn't hide. He prepares. He straps the knife to his hand, broken glass to the other. Primitive, brutal, but not desperate. This isn't about fear. This is about choosing how to end. He looks up into the pale sky, not for help, but for clarity. One last breath, one last memory. Then he growls, a sound not of man, but of something that has endured beyond reason. The wolves charge. He charges too, and in that blur of fury, of snow and blood, of life and defiance, the screen fades. No answer, no closure, because the story was never about whether he won. It was about the fact that he stood. And if this story left a mark, if the cold whispered something to you, then remember, here at Mozua Movie, we don't just talk about films, we live them. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay curious, stay cinematic.